Nothing went wrong. That's the part that keeps circling in my head. There wasn't a betrayal or a fight that blew everything open. There was just this quiet feeling like I was standing in a room that hadn't changed, while something in me had. I've been trying to name what I feel, and it keeps slipping away. It's not anger. It's not disappointment exactly. It's more like confusion layered with guilt. Like I'm holding something fragile and I don't know if putting it down will break it, or if holding it longer will. Some days I tell myself I'm overthinking. Other days I wonder how long I've been editing myself without noticing. I keep asking when this started, but every answer feels unfinished. We met during a time when my life felt settled. Not exciting, not dull, just steady. The kind of phase where routines feel comforting instead of suffocating. We built ours slowly. Weeknight dinners that always happened around the same time. Grocery lists we didn't need to discuss anymore. A shared understanding of what the weekends were for. One memory keeps coming back to me. Sitting across from him at a small table, the kind that wobbles if you lean too hard. He was talking about something ordinary, maybe work or a show we'd both already seen, and I remember thinking how easy it all felt. No nerves. No guessing. Just being there. That ease became the foundation. Trust wasn't something we declared. It was something that settled in quietly. He felt like a place I could rest. Someone who knew my habits, my moods, the way I liked things done without me having to explain them. We talked about plans in a calm, practical way. Nothing grand. Just a shared assumption that we were moving forward on the same track. Felt safe. Felt like something you protect. I think that's why the first crack was so easy to ignore. It wasn't a moment. It was more like a shift in direction. I started thinking about things I wanted, changes, challenges, ideas that didn't fit neatly into the life we'd outlined together. Meanwhile, his goals stayed exactly where they were. Solid. Familiar. Unmoved. First, I told myself that was normal. People don't grow at the same pace all the time. That didn't mean anything was wrong. I rationalized it easily. I didn't want to make something out of nothing. But somewhere along the way, I started feeling restless for no clear reason. Nothing in our daily life had changed. Yet I felt this low-level agitation, like I was waiting for something unnamed to happen. Our conversations began to loop. Not badly. Just predictably. The same topics, the same responses. I found myself finishing his sentences in my head, not because I knew him so well, but because nothing surprised me anymore. There were moments when I wanted to say more. When a thought about the future or a new ambition rose up, and I swallowed it. I told myself it wasn't the right time, or that it would only complicate things. So I stayed quiet. Again and again. Guilt started replacing excitement. When I imagined changes, I immediately thought of what it would cost him. I measured my own growth against his comfort and felt ashamed for even wanting more. There were everyday situations that should have brought us closer. Celebrations. Quiet evenings meant for connection. Instead, I felt oddly distant, like I was performing a role I'd agreed to but hadn't reread in a while. By the time it all felt routine, gratitude had become a trap. He was kind. Consistent. He showed up. And because of that, I felt indebted to stay the same version of myself I'd been when we started. The turning point didn't come with an argument. It came quietly, in a moment where I realized I was translating love into endurance. I still cared. I still wanted him to be okay. But I wasn't aligned with the life we were building anymore. That realization scared me more than anything dramatic could have. Because there was no villain. No clear reason I could point to without sounding ungrateful. Inside me, two fears kept colliding. The fear of leaving someone who did nothing wrong. And the fear of staying and slowly disappearing. I defended the relationship even as I felt erased by it. I told myself that stability was rare and precious, while privately resenting how small I'd begun to feel. I hated that contradiction in myself. Hated that I could hold both at once. Sometimes I wonder if I waited too long to name the problem, or if I noticed it early and chose comfort instead of honesty. I can't tell which version is worse. What I do know is that resentment crept in where silence lived. I started blaming him for choices I never voiced, for paths I didn't take. And that felt unfair even as it felt true. Now I'm stuck in this unresolved space. Unsure whether staying is an act of kindness or avoidance. Unsure whether leaving is honesty or betrayal. Understanding came slowly, not all at once, and it still feels incomplete. I'm sharing this not because I have an answer, but because I know others sit in this same quiet uncertainty. Some people will say growth is personal and necessary. Others will say loyalty means staying when nothing is broken. What would you do if this were you?